This is the lesson for Thursday, October 15th for 11th grade English. The topic today is Middle Passage. It's our last day with Middle Passage with this epic poem. We are looking at a particular section, the littlest one, but we're really going to look at the whole thing in a way and make sure you have annotations throughout that reflect that you're understanding pieces of this. It's a really dense poem. It's very collegiate. And I'm hopeful that through the instruction over the past few days, we've been able to demystify pieces of it for you. So the first thing that you'll do if you're watching this video is click on the slides. I'll take you through some of the pieces, and you'll have your stem, which is the deep human wishes for liberty. But I'd like you to play the poem out loud for yourself on your device and follow along with it in your own poem to annotate throughout. It's about a 10-minute reading, so I'm not going to take up the 10 minutes of this video with me playing that. You can play it. I'll show you exactly where to find it. I'll start the recording, and then I'd like you to finish it on your own. It's really powerful to hear Robert Hayden read his poem that he wrote. So let's go to the slides, and you're looking for day 5, our last day of Middle Passage. Here it is. So I'll start to play a little piece of it for you, and you'll see how it all comes together. I'm gonna fast forward.
Back in the 40s, when there was very little interest in this kind of subject matter, I read for 2 or 3 years and had to work out a form for it, and I finally did. And here is the poem, which is about the slave trade. Middle Passage. Jesus, Estrella, Esperanza, Mercy. Sails flashing to the wind like weapons. Sharks following the moans of fever and the dying. Horror, the corpuscent, and compass rose.
So, if you're doing this at home, go to that slideshow and play the rest of the recording of Robert Hayden reading the poem that he wrote. And as he reads, come here to this white space of your document, your Middle Passage annotations, and note things that you're feeling or that you think. So we've been doing the strategies of visualize, summarize, question, connect. Today, you can do any of those things and more. For example, you might write here in the space, sharks eating the slaves. Connecting those things together and verifying to me that you know what's happening. This would be summarize. And you'll do that all the way down. So we have a lot of annotations because this has been a group discovery, and I've been doing them alongside of another teacher. I don't think you need half this many. I think a good model for you for what I'm looking for is going to be section 5. This would be enough. You see how there's 4 reactions in the white space for that entire section? That's sufficient. That's okay. It doesn't have to be that you've notated every line. The more you notate, the more you'll understand, but I want to be reasonable in my expectations of what you can do independently. So that is your task, and that's what's due by Monday at 9. The other thing you do today is your STEM. So before we leave, we're going to go through this section together. This was the spirit of class today. I call this the climax of the poem. I think this is where Robert Hayden gives the most thesis statements about what it is that the poem is trying to accomplish. So I'm going to read it, and then I'll go through the white space. Shuttles in the Rockian loom of history. The dark ships move, their bright, ironical names, like jests of kindness on a murderer's mouth, plow through thrashing glister toward Fata Morgana's lucent melting shore, weave toward new world literals that are mirage and myth and actual shore, voyage through death, voyage whose chartings are unlove. A charnel stench, effluvium of living death, spreads outward from the hold, where the living and the dead, the horribly dying, lie interlocked, lie foul with blood and excrement. Deep in the festering hold thy father lies, the corpse of mercy rots with him. Rats eat love's rotten gelid eyes. But oh, the living look at you with human eyes, whose suffering accuses you, whose hatred reaches through the swill of dark to strike you like a leper's claw. You cannot stare that hatred down, or chain the fear that stalks the watches, or breathes on you its fetid, scorching breath. Cannot kill the deep, immortal human wish, the timeless will. So, here's my annotations for this section. He starts with saying the dark ships move, bright, ironical names. So I'm writing back to the beginning. Jesus, Estrella. These names, Mercy, that are ironic because they're carrying slaves, but they themselves are so sacred in their naming. Some of these words are real weird, not words we use a lot, and it just is the spirit of it that you're trying to catch. The literals, for example, literally means shore. And here we have some more images of the dead and dying, images of the suffocation of this place. So I'm writing that, images of the suffocation. I'm going to note this in the side here. If you weren't in class, then you missed this allusion. This is an allusion to The Tempest, which is a Shakespeare play, and in it, Ariel says, here's a picture of The Tempest. This song, it's from Shakespeare directly. Full fathom 5, thy father lies, of his bones are coral made, those are pearls that were his eyes. Nothing of him doth fade, but doth suffer sea change into something rich and strange. So this poem, Haydn, he says, deep in the festering hold thy father lies, of his bones New England pews are made, those are altar lights that were his eyes. And then later, the part we just read, deep in the festering hold thy father lies, and the corpse of mercy rots with him. So in Shakespeare's original language, something really beautiful happens to the creature that is drowned in the sea. It's this one character's father. But in Haydn's poem, it's not beautiful at all. It's really sad and dark. So that's what's happening in that illusion. And then here we get the living look at you with a hatred. These slaves are looking at you, the crew member, with hatred. You cannot stare that hatred down. You cannot chain the fear you feel. You cannot kill that deep, immortal human wish, the timeless will. So in class, really paused here because it's everything. What is the immortal human wish? What is it for? What is the timeless will? What is it a will for? And I think it is a will and a wish for liberty, for freedom. Above all things, you cannot take that away from somebody. Though they might try to chain these captive Africans and treat them like a slaughterhouse would, like cattle, and though they might try to enslave them, they cannot ever take away the freedom that every individual person deserves. Which brings us back, all the way back to the beginning of this unit, that those Puritans, those Quakers and Pilgrims we studied are seeking that same thing. Everybody is motivated at the end of the day by that same desire for a freedom for oneself. And by that, these two experiences of movement across the ocean, the slaves and the Puritans, are linked. They both seek liberty. It's just that one seeks it with its own political liberty, and the other seeks it without that. So they're different in important ways, but that liberty that unites them is the same, because it is a deep, immortal human wish. And that's your STEM. The STEM, the deep human wish, is for liberty. I'd love to hear what you think about that. So that's baked into what I'm asking you to do today, when the human wishes for liberty, even though the human wishes for liberty, and while the human wish is for liberty. Really high-level thinking in these stems here today. So show me what you think of the poem in your reasoning. And then, if you did not do the Native American writing assignment, slide 63 is for you. So if you never finished that Native American paragraph, then do this one instead. Don't worry about the Native American paragraph. It's in the past. Do this, because this will be relevant to middle passage. And if you need help, come to async time tomorrow, office hours, and I will help you. I will help you get it done. That was Thursday. I hope you'll have a great weekend, and I look forward to receiving your annotations when you submit them on Monday by 9 a.m.